Hey everyone, hope you are doing awesome. Welcome back to my channel Pega Hut with another video. Thanks everyone for subscribing to my channel, and if you haven't hit the bell icon yet, please do so you won't miss any of my videos. Please hit the like button and leave me a comment or feedback if you like the video or the way I have explained. Today we are going to cover the most awaited and the most requested topic, that is REST integration. Before I start the topic, I would like to let you know that before I started my career in Pega, I was working as an integration solution designer for 5 years. So I worked with REST API extensively. Before you know how to integrate Pega with REST API, it is a must that you need to understand the basics of API. After you finish the video, you would be a pro in reading the API in the right way, and that would help you in understanding how you're gonna proceed. Just to make sure that you are understanding it thoroughly, I have divided this entire video into three parts. Part 1 where I am going to explain the basics, and part 2 where I am going to explain the basics along with how to test the APIs by Postman, and also gonna explain about the Swagger. And in part 3 I am going to show you guys the hands-on how Pega is integrating with the REST connector. So without doing any further delay, let's get into it. Alright, let's discuss about REST integration basics. Let's understand first REST integration basic, and then we can do the practical so that you would have a strong grip about REST integration concept. Now, what I'm going to discuss in this video is these are the topics. The first one is why we need an integration layer in an enterprise world. What's the need of that, first of all, right? Now, second is what is REST API. Third one is what is CRUD. Fourth one is what is API versus URI. I'm going to tell you the difference between API versus URI, and then I'm going to teach you on how you can read a REST URL, and then I will tell you what is the difference between a get and post, and then I would explain about the understanding about HTTP response status code and how you gonna understand when you see a response code like 200, 400, 404. And then I'm going to tell you understanding about the JSON structure, which is very crucial, as like in today's world everybody uses JSON over XML for API, because it's easy to understand, it's faster over internet, and that's the reason. Now I'm going to explain about understanding about the contract, API contract, which is mostly Swagger and Blueprint, and then we would do some testing with API testing tool such as Postman and SoapUI. So in this video I'm going to show you Postman, as that has been popularly used by many companies, and also every project you see you will find Postman is a easy to go tool. As I'm going to explain this in detail, so in part 1 what I'm going to explain is until the topic which cover post and get, and then in part 2 I'm going to explain the rest 4 topic, just so that you would understand it thoroughly instead of making it faster. So yep, without doing any further delay, let's get into the first topic, which is our integration layer in an enterprise world. What's the need of an integration layer in an enterprise world? Now let's think about a scenario, right? Let's think about a bank. Now when we have bank, so in bank there are three portal you can potentially think, right? One is when you walk in a bank, then the bankers who whatever portal they are using will be different than whatever portal you are using while doing your online internet banking. Now you also are using online internet banking by using mobile app, isn't it? So that means technically there are three different servers, three different technology. Most likely bank user will be working on a portal which would have been potentially developed in Java or .NET, and internet banking user would might be using a portal called Pega or something, and then mobile app user will be using an app which would have been developed in Android or iOS, right? Now let's say you got a database, like every bank has got a centralized database, isn't it? So so this centralized database, let's say as of today bank has decided to go for Postgre database, wherein they have got all the data that they need of customer, account, loan, everything in the centralized database. Now when you go and use the app, right? what happen is it goes and get the detail from that centralized database. Let's say if you are using your account detail, right? Now it goes and get the detail from that centralized database. Let's say you walk into bank and you give your account detail, and then bank user will fetch from the portal, or fetch on the on their respective portal, is gonna go and bring the detail from the same centralized database. Now think about this, right? So what happened over here? Now if you see, as I told, then 100% chance that they are different application, they are different technology, they can be for different technology. So what over here will happen is, in mobile app user, that application will write the code and write the code to connect the database. Internet banking user, that portal or that application will write the code to connect the Postgre database, and also the bank user, that portal will write the code to connect to the Postgre database. Now think about this scenario. Tomorrow bank decided Postgre is charging a lot, and then they realize that there might be some Oracle DB or MySQL DB or something, and then they think about getting rid of this Postgre database, because the performance wise, let's say, other database, they found it cheaper and good, so they want to go for that. So what would happen? What all system will have impact? All the system that you see, mobile app user system or internet banking user system or bank user system, will have an impact on that. So everybody has to change the code, or the way they have written the code, all the connections details, everything would have been residing in the individual application, right? So all the application has to make the changes to connect to the new database, which is the let's say latest database called Oracle database or any other database, right? So now what do you understand? So over here the problem is, it will add a lot of cost to bank, and also a lot of chaos to the bank, and also it's always risky when your presentation layer, right? So when I say presentation layer, means this app or internet banking, they call it as a presentation layer. When your presentation layer directly connecting to the data layer, now what problem will happen is, each time a presentation layer has to do a changes, there will be a lot of regression testing, lot of testing bank has to do, and which involve cost, right? So bank has to spend a lot of money for changing that database, which is huge, right? Now think about this scenario. Now you have got the same system in the bank, and instead of mobile app user or internet banking user and bank user portal connecting to the centralized database, let's say you have placed a REST API in between, right? Now this API task is to, let's say if I wanted to get a customer detail, I will have an API or URI, and then API will connect to the Postgre database and then fetch the detail and pass it to mobile app user. The same if bank user portal, or the same would be requested by the internet banking user portal. Then they will connect to the REST API, and then eventually they're gonna go and fetch the detail, and then eventually they're gonna get the response, right? Now at the same instance, let's say again bank has decided to get rid of this database. So what will happen? Which system will have the impact? Only over here the API system will have the impact. So all API system needs to do is, they will change the connection which they have written for the Postgre database connection. Now they have to change to the new database, right? But other system like mobile app user, internet banking and bank user, which are the presentation layer, which are customer facing, will remain safe, as they are communicating to API, and API is exposing a service in such a way that they do not need to change anything. All API has to do the changes. Now what are the benefits that we get over here? First benefit, your centralized the database connection code residing at one place, so you do not need to change in multiple places. That is point number one. Second benefit, your testing will be very minimal, because you are not doing any front end changes. All you are doing is changes in the API. All you need to do is minimal testing, which will save a lot of cost to the bank. And the third benefit which will happen, you do not need to do any changes in the individual application layer, mobile app user or internet banking user or bank user. You are going to change only in the API layer. So bank saves a lot of cost and also at the same time the user experience will be there are very less chance to break over here, because the front end doesn't have to undergo with a lot of changes, right? So that is the beauty of having an API there always in an enterprise world. When I say enterprise world, for people who are new to the IT world, and when I say enterprise world, it is the end-to-end system that you see in an enterprise architecture. So for example, bank is an enterprise, right? In that architecture, bank has a presentation there, and then bank has the data there, and in between we are putting a service there, which is API's REST service. So that is how you should always design, and that's the reason why API became so popular within no time. Previously we had web services, and by which we could achieve, but API is very easy to maintain and very flexible over internet. That's the reason why AP became so popular, and that's the reason why you need an integration layer all the time when you are building an enterprise architecture. I hope this is clear. Right now, let's come to understand. Let's try to understand about what is REST API. Now, as you guys know, when I say integration, it is like most likely you would have heard about web service, and you also have heard about REST APIs. Now in this lesson, I'm gonna explain you about the benefits of REST API and what's the reason that we are using the REST API. Now what is REST API? REST API is representational state transport. Just one thing I wanna highlight over here. I'm not going to make you guys bored with all the internet definitions, because I know you are smart enough to go and find all the definition in the internet. I'm going to just tell you the very basic things which will help you understanding on what is REST API and why we need to use that, and I would make you understand about how you can read the REST APIs. Okay, pure technical what I'm going to explain now. The second thing which I wanted to highlight is this API is stateless in nature. That's why it is very fast. Now, what do you mean by stateless, right? Now, see, you think about Pega. When in Pega, we can do long service calls, right? When I say long service call, means you can create a case and then you can save the case and then you can come back and reopen the case, and then after some days, the case can be resolved. So all the data Pega commits to the database, right? But in API, there is no data being committed to the database. Everything is going to be on the fly. It is synchronous in nature, wherein you call the API goes and brings the data or creates the data in the data layer and then brings back the response. So nowhere in this process API stores that data or commits the data in any places inside the server. That's the reason why it is very fast and it's stateless in nature. What is the difference between stateful and stateless? Stateful is where you save all the data which you can use it at the later part of your process. But however, stateless is there is no way you can save that data. It has to be synchronous and it has to finish in the same transaction. Now the third point which I wanted to highlight is it's lightweight. What do you mean by lightweight? The again exactly the point which I just told before, the stateless in nature, because it doesn't has to store anything. It is lightweight. And now in today's world we are dealing with the microservice platform APIs, where it is very granular with respect to the requirement. Let's say if you wanted to get a customer ID, it's gonna give you the customer detail, and whatever detail you want you can get it from that API. So the APIs are so granular in nature, it's very lightweight, and that's the reason why it is very fast over internet. Now the fourth point is it can understand XML, JSON and HTML. Now in the API, your language can be potentially XML. The API can understand the XML and can parse the XML and process to the backend by using XML language. Similarly for JSON and HTML. The popular one now everywhere you would see is JSON, because it's easy to understand, it's lightweight and it's very flexible. The last point which I wanted to explain about is it's scalable and flexible. As you guys know about the API, because the nature of the APIs is lightweight and stateless in nature, so that's why it's always easy to scale when the requirements are more, or when it grows, and also it is flexible enough to change. Let's say, for example, when I say flexible, let's say you got a set of data in the response. Now you wanted to add some more data. All you need to do is make it an optional field and add. It's not going to impact the consumers who is consuming that API already in the production. Now let's come into let's try to understand about CRUD. So now CRUD is actually nothing but there are four different methods which define API, or which mostly been used in the API, which has been combined to make this word called CRUD. CRUD is create, and then retrieve, and then update, and then delete. So that's all CRUD, CRUD, right? Now let's say for create, what is the best example, or what do you mean by when you are creating a record in the server? Let's say you got an account, right? And you wanted to create an account. So that means which API that can solve the problem is post / account. I'm gonna go in detail about method and the URL, but just think about this. Right now, you have created an account. Now remember one thing: when you are creating or when you are using post, right? That means obviously while creating an account, you need a lot of things in the body so that in the backend you can create, right? So that's the reason why post has always have body, and by which you will pass all the information that is required, and then it will take that information and create a record in the server. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let's move into retrieve. Now retrieve means you are retrieving a record from the server. Now what would be the best example? I would say, let's say you create an account, right? And you if I create an account and with my name and with all the data that I have, if I wanted to retrieve that account number, I can use retrieve get account number, wherein I can pass that account number, then I can get all my details from the server. Remember, this is from the server. So the next one is get doesn't have a request body. Remember, when you are using a get method, it doesn't have a request body, unlike you have in post and put method, because it doesn't need. All it needs a parameter which is account number over here, and based on that it will go and give the server saying that, hey, this is the account number, give me all the details. And now when I say all the details, whatever details you would have modeled it. Now coming back to update. Now update is updating a record in the server. Now when I say updating records, let's say you created an account. Now I am let's say I have set the address to ABC. Now I have changed my address. I want to update my address for that particular account number, right? When you do in the bank, so that means they will use this update to update a record in the server. Now when you update a record in the server, obviously that update needs to know which record you wanted to update, right? That's the reason why you would always have an account number, or I would say that parameter in the URI. So that's why this way, like accounts as account number, where you pass account number 1 2 3 and then use the put method to update that. Now if you realize, when you are updating, right, that means obviously you are updating something. That means that's where it needed the detail, right? That's the reason why you have to have a body in the update. Now similarly, delete is nothing but you are deleting a record from the server. Let's say for some reason you don't want to don't want the record to be existed in the server, then you can delete, and delete will be using delete account number, right? And you are going to delete from the server. Now this is what CRUD is all about. Once you understand about CRUD, means this API, understanding API is very easy. Now next, what we're gonna learn is what is the difference between API and URI. Now not sure if you ever heard about the URI word, or you would have obviously heard about API word, right? So API is not, the full form of API is nothing but application programming interface, and the full form of URI is nothing but uniform resource indicator. Now if I just make you guys explain quickly about API. The first thing which I wanted to, obviously the application programming interface, which I covered. The second thing which I wanted to tell, like it's kind of a class in the object oriented programming. Now if I give an example, think of account as an API. Now coming back to URI, as I told, URI is uniform resource indicator, right? Now what do you mean by it? Mean that it meant to do a specific task. Now if you read the read between the line, right, uniform resource indicator means it's a very specific way of finding out what kind of resource that you are dealing with and what this resource is going to do. That means, for example, if I say I want to get the account information, so this is my resource. The if you see the task, the task description is very specific that I want to get my account number. So all the URI that you create, they all belongs to an API. Now account over here is an API, and all this must URI where you are trying to create an account or retrieving an account or update an account or deleting account, they are going to be the URI of that particular API. Now it has got a method and a resource identifier. So what does it mean? So a URI is not going to be complete unless it is being followed by a method. So the methods are update, put, post, get, and delete and patch. So all these methods are very crucial when you are calling an URI. So basically, why we need to use that method? Because the method define what to perform, and the resource identifier define the address. So what does it mean? So let's say if I say get account number, method get, what it defined that I need to perform a retrieval. Now what kind of retrieval is what your URI define, which is account/account number, means I need to retrieve for this particular account number. That's how it is very important when you read them together. Now it also referred as route. So sometimes you would have heard that the URI being called as route, right? So it's kind of a method in the class, which I just explained before. And then the examples which I have already given is post account, get account, delete account, and put account. So those are the URI. So again, if I quickly repeat or recap this one, so API is kind of, think API as in class and think URI as the method. URI is uniform resource indicator, which is very important along with the method. When I say method, it's the CRUD method, create, retrieve, delete, and post method. Okay. Now next, how are you going to read the REST URL? So it is very important to understand, how the REST URL perform or how the REST URL form, and it is very important that you understand and read them properly. Based on that, you can define your data model. Now, if you see, there are like couple of examples that I have given over here. So there are like 4 examples to be precise. So first example where you got, pretty much until V1 is everything correct, or I would say until accounts is everything correct, and then you get this account number, some parameter, and then other IDs, right? So I'm going to explain one by one. Now here, if you see, this HTTPS is nothing but a protocol. So it can be in HTTP or HTTPS. Most likely, obviously, in the real time, we are dealing with HTTP, which is HTTPS, which is a secure transport protocol. Now, this localhost is nothing but the host name, which is the server name. Let's say wherever you have deployed that API. Let's say if you are deploying in your local server, it's going to be localhost. If you're deploying into a virtual machine or any server, it's going to be that particular virtual machine server. Now 8080, undoubtedly it's port. Everybody would know that. And then this account is nothing but the API name, and then followed by a version name, which version this API belongs to, because an API can have multiple versions. V1 might have like 2 routes, V2 has been upgraded to 5 routes, and V3 can have like 16 routes. So based on the version, you would know what URL, or based on the version, you would know which version this route belongs to. Now this last section is completely the route, right? Now here, if you see, if you see the last section, we call as resource or path or URI or route, right? Now together combined, they called as API URL. Now if you see, there are like 4 different kind of example that I have given. The first example, if you see here, you are just giving the route name account. So most likely, you will use that with post or put or something like that. Now the second example where I have given is you are passing this accounts/account number. Basically, you are passing a parameter on the URI. right? And the third example which I have given is you are passing, you're calling an account slash account number slash customer slash ID. So what you are doing is basically you are passing a account number, underneath you are passing an customer ID. Most likely you would not see this kind of URL. It is very rare because like I told, we are in a world where we are doing a microservice platform architecture where we are trying to be very specific, very granular. So this kind of design where you wanted to design an URI underneath another URI, that's why you define here. If you see, technically account is an API and account number you are passing, and then underneath you got another API called customer where you are passing the customer ID, which is very less likely to find, but there is a way that, I mean, there are some examples where you can find this kind of thing. So here basically what I'm trying to say is pass the account number 123 and also pass the customer ID which belongs to that account number. Now the last thing which you would see is the search parameter, which is key value 1 and key value 2. Okay, let's say in bank you got like 100 account, right? Out of that I want to search all the account wherein the first name, the last name is, let's say, XYZ, or the date of birth is greater than 2nd August 2020 or something like that, right? This kind of places where you should be using this search query. What is the difference between a get and a search? They both use the same operator. So technically, if you see, all the operators that you see, post, get, put, delete, are being used as part of these URLs. Now let's say if I put so for row number 2, http localhost until account number, where you're passing the account number, and row number 4, they both will have the method called get. Now what is the difference between row number 2 and row number 4 is, in row number 2 we are telling that get me the specific account number 123, get me the detail of that specific account number. However, in row number 4, although we are using the same method, here we are trying to tell get me the get me all the accounts wherein the date of birth is greater than 2nd July or 2nd August 1998 or something like that, right? So that is the difference between get and search. So we in API world we call as search, and for this kind of question mark. So remember, in the search that key value 1 and key value 2 called query param. Now how you would know that? You will always find a query param after a question mark. If you see the row number 4 where you got accounts question mark, key equal to value 1 and key 2 equal to value 2. So that's how you can define that it's a query param. So in simple, if you see a question mark in an URI, you get to know that it's a query param. If you haven't seen a question mark, if it is in the curly braces, that means it's a parameter in the URI. I hope now you understood how to read the URL of a REST API properly. So make sure based on that you define your data model. Now the second thing which I wanted to tell, which is a major concept in API world, is what's the difference between post and get. Now why I wanted to force mostly about post and get, there is a reason behind it. Because if you technically see, most of the API or routes you would find them in post or get. Now some APIs for update also they are going to use the post. That's why I wanted to spend some time to tell you the difference between these two method. Now post, the URI will have a request body. Remember this one. When you dealing with a post, the URI will definitely have a request body. Okay. Now example is create an account, right? Now the URL would be something like you are passing a post /accounts /v1 and /account, and then you will have a request body where you are giving all the information to create an account. Now this is how the request body will look like. Let's say your URL is like that, you are passing all the details. Now here there will be an object called account, first name, last name, date of birth. This is how the JSON looks like, and I'm going to explain in the next slide on how to read the JSON. So bear with me until now. Think about that. When you are creating an account, obviously you need to pass some detail for that particular account, and that's how request body will have all the details. Now once it successfully created an account, it's gonna give you a response back saying that your account number is 123. So that's all about post, right? Now what post means, post will have a request body. Now request body will look like something like that, and it will have a response also, where it will return you back a uniquely identified number. Sometime it returns, sometime it doesn't, depending on the nature of the API that you have created. Now what is get? Get is nothing but the URI does not have a request body, because it's gonna retrieve. Now when it's gonna retrieve, right, it will take the parameter itself in the URI, so that it will go and directly get the details from the server. So example is retrieve an account, and the URI will look like get account v1 accounts slash account number, wherein you are gonna pass the account number, is gonna go and give it to the server, and server gonna get you the all the details. Now the URL format will look like this, but when you're going to pass, or when you're trying to use as an URL, then you are going to pass as 123. You do not, when you're passing the value, you do not need to put that into curly braces. It's gonna be flash structure as I am showing on the screen. Now no request body obviously, and the response will have, let's say if I give 123, what account detail I passed when I created this 123 account number. First name is Pega, last name is Hurt, and then date of birth is 2nd 2022. The same will be part of the response. Now we have reached to the end of the video. I hope it is clear and you understood whatever I have explained till now.